Hello everyone and welcome back along to the Super Rugby program here on Cornflake's Crib. It is another weekend that has passed us by. We are looking back now on round 10 of the competition where we had a full 8 matches to go through. That means there was a couple of teams having a bye. They were the Crusaders and the Sunwolves, who were still partying it up after their first ever win in round number 9. Fair play to them, a week off to celebrate. But the rest of us, we had to soldier on in 8 matches to go through this, kick in the gear, see what happens and see how well our picks went over the 10th round of Super Rugby. It was a Yarrow Stadium in New Plymouth where the round kicked off. It was a match that really looked like it should be a mismatch. It was the Chiefs versus the Sharks, and the Sharks, you have to give them credit for blooding their youth players, because Garth April, I think, is a real talented youngster who is going to really shine in South African rugby in the future. If you saw this young man play, he was phenomenal. Now, if South Africans out there who do tune into the channel, I know a lot of you guys have been complaining about the lack of a decent ball running number 10. I know it's still early days, but this youngster looks like he's got the goods. His try was absolute brilliance. So the fleet-footed stepping and sliding through tackles was a joy to watch. He looks really exciting, and I really hope that he develops well in the Sharks. But like we've seen from the Sharks all season, it was their defence that kept them in the game. The Chiefs in the first half, and for part of the second as well, were drawn into the way that the Sharks play, the style that the Sharks play. They are very impatient in playing a kicking game that didn't really suit their style. The Sharks got that sort of stuff down pat, and you could see the kick returns from the Sharks were just raking off meters, finding touch perfectly. The Chiefs, that's not how they play. They counter-attack and they score tries. They really struggled to get into the game, and the Sharks were well and truly in it at the halftime break. And to be fair, they were in it right till the very bitter end when the ball sailed over the sideline. They finished just 2 points short. Unbelievably, that was how close it was. The Chiefs, many expected to run away with this one. The Sharks made it anything but. 24-22, the Chiefs at home getting the narrowest of victories over the Sharks, who really just put their defence to work and once again fed on mistakes, drawing their opponents into kicking. That is their game plan, and it nearly upset one of the top running sides of Super Rugby. My prediction was 38-13 to the Chiefs, so I still grabbed myself 1 point for getting the winner correctly. My margin was, however, way off the mark. We made our way over to Australia next, NIB Stadium in Perth, with a force rub in action against the Bulls, and I feel this game was a real step back for the Force, who had been building nicely, showing some good touches, and really shown that they're an improved side over the last year or so of Super Rugby. They battled well quite nicely in the first half, but they really lost the plot in the second, especially late on into the match, where it looked like if they put their mind to it, they could really trouble the Bulls, but they just made too many errors, too many mistakes, too many missed opportunities. And the Bulls, wow, aren't they an exciting machine from South Africa? The Bulls are absolute class, and Creel and Serfontaine in the midfield, oh, that is an absolute joy to behold. That is an awesome midfield combination. I think the Springboks this year are going to be blessed with amazing combinations in the midfield. It was still, the likes of D'Allendy, not even mentioned here. Just those two. For the Bulls, Creel and Serfontaine were sublime. And I think that's somewhere internationally where South Africa will be one of the best teams in the world in 2016. I think the Bulls' counter-attack was amazing as well. That try they scored against the Force kicking game as well was just right up there with the best of the best, what we've seen from Super Rugby. And you can't question the final scoreline. The way the Bulls played, they were just way too good. 42-20, the final score for the Bulls over the Force. It was an easy canter. They really did look impressive as the match wore on. The Force did a bit better than I predicted, however. 33-11 was my score prediction, so I've gone a bit short on both sides, but still grabbing 1 point for picking the correct winner. Back to Eden Park we go for Saturday night's first game. It was really only Saturday evening, as it was around a 5 o'clock kickoff in New Zealand. Eden Park was looking pretty in the setting sun. The Blues were hosting the Rebels, and really this did confirm one thing for me, and it was the weakness of the Australian Conference, and it really was exaggerated later on with the rest of the matches as well. The Rebels, although they've performed very nicely in previous weeks, they really didn't look like they're ever going to win this matchup. But, however, their back row is absolute class, and I think that is one thing that has kept this Rebels team right up there. Well, really leading Australia's conference. You got to give them credit. McMahon, Reid, Thompson. They are key to how this Rebels team works, how they compete. It's all up to them, and it's great to see a player like McMahon really getting support that he deserves, and you've got to give him credit because he's really the main culprit for this Rebels team starting to get the limelight. The Blues, as I expected in the preview, they were alright, they were pretty decent, they controlled generally the roundabout part of the match, but it was just one flurry of points that put the Rebels away, and that's all they needed to do, and that's what the Blues can do when you've got the attacking weapons in the backline that they have. 3 tries, 24 points, 16 minutes, and it's game over from there. The Rebels, to their credit again, come back very strong, very late, but all in all, the Blues held on quite nicely to take a 36-30 win over the Rebels. My pick for that one was 26-23, so I still picked it to be very close. Just not quite that high scoring. I still grabbed myself 1 point for the correct winner. Now for our fourth match of the weekend, we made our way down to my neck of the woods, down here in Southland, where the Highlanders were having their one game a year down in Southland in Invercargill Rugby Park Stadium. They're up against the Brumbies. I think a pretty high level team to bring down here to Rugby Park, and as we expected, the weather really was going to play its part, and it did exactly that. A beautiful day. Right up to about 5 o'clock later on in the day, just when everyone's going to settle down and make their way to the rugby, what happens? Well, the heavens open up, and they give a little taste of a nice pouring of rain to really put this game in absolute disarray. It was a slog, an absolute slog. And the weather, like we said, had a big part in how this game went. Only 3 tries were scored. Again, that's to be expected. Very slippery, very wet conditions. It's not what the Brumbies would have been used to at all. It's a different world down here. When it rains, it does come down in a hurry. It was cold as well. It was very dark. And I'm sure the Brumbies had no idea what they were getting themselves into. But the big thing from this match that I took from it was the defence of the Highlanders was very tight. Tightest defence I've seen from the Highlanders in a long time against the Brumbies team. They were throwing everything at them. You know, the Highlanders didn't have much ball throughout that match, and it really showed in the stats, especially the tackle count. 160 to 37. That's how many tackles the Highlanders made. 160 to 37 by the Brumbies. How on earth did the Highlanders get anything out of this match with statistics like that showing they had no ball at all? It's an absolute credit to their defence that they even got anywhere near this game, let alone scored tries. I mean, Sopawanga coming to his own. This is where he plays. This is his ITM Cup ground. He knows this place. He's been here a couple of years now. This is his backyard, and you could tell he was absolutely chuffed that the Highlanders got the result. 23-10 over the Brumbies. I thought that was a very, very convincing display from the Highlanders. Don't need the ball. Don't worry about it. You have the Brumbies. Just eat your hearts out. We'll tackle you all night long. And that is exactly what happened. The Highlanders coming away with the win there. My prediction was 24-22. So I gave the Brumbies too much credit. I still come away with another point for my season tally for getting the Highlanders as the winners. Over to Suncorp Stadium for our next match of round 10, and it's the resurgent Reds up against the Cheetahs. And really this game for me was quite a specific interest because the Reds had really come along this season. I mean, we talk about it every week. The the lows of the first few weeks, and what they've come up with in recent times has been quite extraordinary. The Cheetahs, on the other hand, they were Mr. Consistent at the start of the year, and where have they gone now? They've just gone downhill, and I was expecting the Reds to pick this win against the Cheetahs on the road. So the Reds just get better and better. The first half was a real slog between the two sides as well. The Cheetahs had the better of the first half, but they just couldn't seem to put it on the scoreboard like we've seen they did earlier in the season. Later on the second half, though, the Reds, boy, did they wake up, and they score some amazing tries through their absolute amazing backline of talent that they have. Young, so explosive and fast and powerful runners, and now they're really starting to get them in the game, and they're really starting to make an impact for the Queensland franchise. And it's a joy to watch, because it's a team that won the competition a few years ago. They had the superstars, they had the Guineas, the Coopers, and they really laid everything on those guys. Now they've had to rebuild, and I think they've done a lot of things right this year. Getting rid of the coach seems to be the big one, but they've really come a long way, and they've pulled out. I think this is a massive win for the Reds. I really was hesitant to call them winners in the preview, but they comes good for me. And they picked up the win, 30 points to 17 over the Cheetahs. Now, get this one. My prediction was 31-22. The Reds over the Cheetahs. So, for that one, my friends, I grabbed myself 2. That's right, 2 points. Finally, I get one pretty decent to write. Okay, so we got 3 matches remaining, and it's off to South Africa. It's Johannesburg, where the Lions, one of the better-looking sides throughout Super Rugby this year, will be up against the Hurricanes on the road, making their way over to South Africa. Now, this one, well, this was an absolute ripper, and it was a shock result. I have to be honest. Even being from New Zealand and always backing the New Zealand franchises, I was shocked by this result. I was surprised and I was amazed at the display that the Hurricanes put together. The Lions were sloppy, they were irritated, and they just had a bad day at the office, really. That's all you can say. They were throwing intercept passes for the Hurricanes. Nothing at all went right for the Lions. Every little bounce of the ball went to the Hurricanes absolutely perfectly. The highlight of that game was the try for Reggie Goods. What a monster. And it's just stuff like that, the X factor, especially in the forwards that the Hurricanes have, with such amazing ball runners in their forward pack, as well as still being pretty decent at their core roles as well. That makes this team just such a different aspect to come up against. The Lions, like I said, nothing went right for them. It was just a dreadful day at the office for the poor Lions. I hope that they do bounce back from that loss, but they do have the bye next week, so not the best time to get it after a thumping. But the final score, 50. That's right, 50-17. The Hurricanes over the Lions. Wow. Now, if I thought I was going out on a limb by picking the Reds, I didn't think I was by picking the Lions, which I did, 37-31 to get the win. So I was miles wrong of that. A great performance from the Hurricanes, and I was a bit skeptical about their chances, but you have to say that was one hell of a display from the Hurricanes to get a win over the Lions at home in Johannesburg as well. That is no mean feat. 0 points for Cornflake. We stay in South Africa and off to Newlands, where the Stormers are up against the Waratahs, and another game where it was ultimately decided it has to be. A red card just has too much impact on a game in too many ways that it just, no matter what stage of the match is brought out, I think it was just for the hour mark, this one was going to the Stormers winger Zas. Now, I've watched this one a few more times, and I think it's a bit harsh. I really do think it's harsh. Now, the way he landed, I get, was very bad. He did land very, very badly, and he's lucky not to be injured, and that's the whole point in these tackle rules. But in defense of the Stormers winger, Zas, he was trying to stop. You know, if you haven't seen it, go have a look, and you'll see what I mean here. Just the way he ran into the tackle, he kind of tried to stop and wait for the player to land, but slid underneath the player that was carrying the ball. I think it was Bernard Foley, the one going high for it, who fell on top of him and just flipped him upside down. It was really messy, but I do feel sorry for the Stormers and for Zance because that was tough. It was out of his control. It wasn't like Jason Emery, who just made an absolute shocking call and just decimated Villiers LaRue. No, this was a mistake. This was an accident, and I know he still fell on the shoulders, but I think red card on that occasion was just a bit too harsh. It wasn't really a tackle. It wasn't a tackle. The arms were out. It's really tough. It's really tough, and ultimately it did decide the game for the Stormers and the Waratahs. And you've got to say, sometimes these decisions need a bit of a human element to them to say, look, yes, he made a bad tackle. Yes, the man fell on his head, but was it on purpose? It's so hard to call as well because you got to look at the defensive side of things. You got to look at the ball carrier. It's really tough, but ultimately Sass was red carded. And the Waratahs, they bounced back from that. They had the numbers game. They were within touching distance of the Stormers, who had the lead at the time. And a try to Michael Hooper with just minutes to go, 2 minutes to go on the clock. Ultimately decided the match with the try to the Waratahs. They come out on top 32-30 over the Stormers. You know, that's a tough one to take. A card like that, I mean, really was not yellow enough on that one. I think it may have been for that occasion. My prediction was 41-27, the Stormers to take the win. That didn't happen either, so another big donut going on my scoreboard for that 7th match of the weekend, and we have one to go, and we're off to Buenos Aires for the Jaguars up against the Kings, 2 of the new teams in the competition, and finally, I can say it, finally, the Jaguars have shown up. Boy, it's taken a long time, but man, did we see some good play from the Jaguars against the Kings. Now, I know you're saying it's just the Kings, don't get excited, but they did something good. They got their 2nd win, and I just feel so happy for them. Just like when the Sunwolves got their big win, even though it was against the Jaguars. It's just so good. You gotta feel sorry for the Kings, though. They really have had a tough year in 2016, but they will get there. They will surely get there. And performances like this from the Jaguars could give them the confidence and give them the belief to go forward and really turn this season around. I hope like hell it does as well, because it's such a good side. It is almost criminal that they're not performing better than they are in this competition. Senatore, 3 tries, 11 tries in total. And amazingly, the Kings as well picked up 4 tries. Under the old system, the Kings would have got a bonus point for scoring 4 tries as well. Yet they got thumped. They got absolutely thumped. This is just ludicrous. This try from Stephen Sykes, an absolute stunner. Pick of them for the Kings as well. But really, the Kings, we know they can attack, but it's really the defense that's letting them down, and we've seen it once again. You score 27 points, that's pretty decent against anyone, but to concede 73 is never a good look. That was the final score, 73-27, the Jaguars over the Kings. My prediction was 19-12, which, that was a wild way off from the actual scoreline. I still grab a point for getting the winner correct from that round. Right, so that concludes a look back on all the matches from round number 10. I've picked up 7 points in total, 6 for getting the winner, just that lowly 1 bonus point for getting within 10 points of the score. Now, a few picks coming in last week, but there was just one man who did beat me. First go to, I think, for Rick Lackey. Now, Rick, congratulations. You picked up 8 points from your weekend of matches. Most notably, though, was one pick that you put in that you got the result wrong, but you still got it close enough to get it within 10 points. Now, that one was your prediction of a 30-30 draw between the Stormers and the Waratahs when the actual score was 32-30. So, that's pretty good. That's pretty close, and that, I think, was the game changer for Rick's pick. Congratulations, you've picked up 8 points and beat me for round 10. Well done. As for my totals, you can probably see on screen now, I think I have 54 points for getting the winner correctly, 15 bonus points, which gives me a total of 69 points from 10 rounds of Super Rugby. Thank you everyone who put in picks for round 10. I hope to see you back for round 11, which will be coming your way tomorrow, so stay tuned, stick around for that. A big weekend of Super Rugby coming your way once again. When is it in a big weekend? Some classic cracking matches will be coming up as well. So thank you everyone for tuning and watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little review of round 10. Be sure to leave your comments below if you agree or disagree on things that happened over the weekend, as per always. And I'll see you all next time for round 11 preview. Until then, take care.